Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Wednesday, the 22nd of May. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How's it going, Chris?
Not too bad, Derek. Not bad. How's things?
Yeah, hunky-dory. It's grey and gloomy down here in Warrington, and the heavens have opened as well, so summertime as well and truly ended, I think, down this neck of the woods. But to brighten up our day, we can talk about all things at Rangers, of course. Before we do that, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors, MPH Boilers. They've got those Viessmann boilers on offer. You know the drill by now, folks. If your boiler is on the blink, then these are the guys to call. The all-important links are in the description below. As was the case yesterday, transfers dominate the headlines for Rangers. Yet to enter the transfer window, but a host of names have already been linked, and one who looks like he could be set for a return to Ibrox after he spent 12 years at Ibrox, and now he could be set for a return. And that is Liam Kelly. He departed in 2018, signing for Livingston. He moved on to Queen's Park Rangers, working under Mark Warburton down there before returning to Scotland to sign for Motherwell, where he has been playing up until now. His contract is expiring at the end of this month. The 28-year-old now looks like set for a return to Ibrox in the summertime. I think I was on with Stevie last week. We said this likelihood of this could occur, and it certainly looks to be the case, Chris. I, for one, scratched my head over this one. Liam Kelly left Rangers to get game time. He's playing games at Motherwell. I get why his contract is now up at Fir Park. He could easily get a game as a first choice with the vast majority of clubs in the Scottish Premiership or even elsewhere. If he's coming to Rangers, of course, Jack Butland is there at this moment in time. Is that a case of maybe Butland leaving or Robbie McCrory departing? Will Liam Kelly be happy playing second fiddle again at Rangers? I'm scratching my head over this one.
It came out of nowhere yesterday. It's not something that I've heard of, and I think it's safe to say there's been quite a lot of online chatter and debate since the story broke and since this started kind of doing the rounds and gathering a bit of momentum. For me, he's not a Rangers number one. I think that's fairly obvious. I think, with all respect to Motherwell, that is his level as a number one. Decent keeper, good at this level. For me, he misses out on the Scotland squad for the Euros as well. Also, Steve Clarke will name his group for the friendlies and the provisional squad for the Euros in a couple of hours. I think once that group is cut down, Liam Kelly is the goalkeeper that misses out. He is a good, solid, reliable goalkeeper at Premiership level. He's not a Rangers number one. For me, I'm not even convinced he's a Rangers number two, because if you are the Rangers number two, at some stage you may be called upon to be the Rangers number one. Now, thankfully, that's not happened a lot in recent seasons. Also, Alan McGregor was a stalwart between the sticks, played a number of games over a number of seasons, didn't have injury issues or many suspension issues apart from the odd kicking out at Hibernian forwards. Also last season, Jack Butland, just so reliable, turned up, played exceptional level. So, as you say, it would seem a strange move for Liam at this stage. If he was 33, 34, maybe at 28, I think he is. I don't see how much football he's going to play over the next couple of seasons. So I'd be surprised if he thought this was a good career move. Also a chance to come back to Rangers, be in a squad that's going for a title, hopefully, that's got European football, that's going for cups. There's a lot to like about being a Rangers player. The wages will obviously be a factor as well. But in terms of playing regular games, I don't see how Liam Kelly gets in that Rangers squad next season. Now, if Jack Butland was to leave, potentially opens things up slightly, but I would hope that Rangers would then go into the market and sign someone of a higher calibre than Liam Kelly. But I think that there will be a lot of chatter about this, about the goalkeeping position over the summer. Butland will come in for it, and there will be interest in him. There will be bids for him. I still fear that he will be one that moves on if the money's right. If there's an offer for Robbie McCrorie, I think he'll move on as well. I think he has to move on. He needs to play first team football. I think if there's a conversation there of Robbie, you will definitely be Rangers' first choice, you'll definitely be number one, the jersey and the gloves are yours, that may perhaps sway him to stay on. If that's not the case and it's a situation of, look, there's goalkeepers coming in, you have to fight it out, you have to try and earn your spot, I think Robbie will say, look, I've served my time, I've done my bit, I've been through that process before and it's not worked out for me, and he then looked to move on. So I think we're probably in the final days of Robbie McCrorie's Rangers career. I think we're potentially in the final weeks of Jack Butland's Rangers career, unfortunately. And Kelly, see, I think Kelly is a good backup option, but maybe as a John McLaughlin type backup option. So for me, he's not a number one, and I'd be wary if he was coming in to push the goalkeeper that we see as number one, because it only takes an injury or suspension, and Liam Kelly's then put in. If that was to be for a long term, I think people would have their doubts over whether he would be the right man to have in that position. So an unusual one. The comments not overly hugely positive on it this morning, but I think as a number of people are pointing out, he ticks important boxes. Now, we spoke about this last week in terms of young Scottish players. Rangers do need to start ticking boxes for the UEFA squad list. He ticks a couple of them, homegrown, club trained, so you can see why there's an interest there. It's not going to be, I think, a big transfer fee. Obviously, it's not going to be a big outlay in terms of wages. So you can see the reasoning behind it. But if there is to be movement in that area of the pitch, I think Rangers could and should hopefully go and do better as a number one.
Yep, lots of comments coming in off the back of it. I don't mind the signing if it's to replace a Robbie McCrorie or a John McLaughlin will be leaving, of course. Robbie, for me, should have left last summer. If he wasn't going to be given guarantees that he would get game time, then he should have been looking. Even in January, I felt that he should have even went out on loan just to get game time, because he could be in with a shout of appearing for Scotland in the Euros, being in the squad at least in the summertime. But he stayed at Rangers. He's only played that one game at Dumbarton, and that is it. So I think it's certainly hampered his chances. If I'm Robbie McCrorie, I'm certainly moving on in the summertime to get games. But yeah, your point on Liam Kelly, let's get to a few of the comments coming in. James Cameron says his class is trained at the club for the European squad. Absolutely. Stephen Gillespie echoes that. Number 2 in Scottish quota all over. And on why a move to Rangers is attractive to Liam Kelly, Robert Robertson says he's probably doubling his salary, Derek. It's a no-brainer for him and his family. I get that as well. And I'm just thinking about it similarly to Rob McCrorie, who's just a couple of years younger than him. I'm just thinking for his own career, would he rather play games or just sit on the bench and be called upon when required, maybe play the odd cup game here or there? So, yeah, it's an interesting one. As long as he isn't the number one. But as you touched on there, Chris, we are expecting bids to come in for Jack Butland. I noticed again yesterday he was omitted from the England provisional squad for the Euros. James Trafford getting called up ahead of him. He's not in the top 4 goalkeepers there. If you're Jack Butland, we know he spoke recently after the game at the weekend about loving his time at Rangers. He also loves playing for England. And Gareth Southgate, we know, was up at the recent Old Firm game at Ibrox a few weeks ago. I wouldn't be surprised if he's saying he has to be in close proximity. He has to be played in the English Premier League to be considered again for an England recall. I don't agree with it, but that's just the way it is.
I don't agree with that either, Derek. I think there's very, very little more that Jack Butland could have done over the course of this season to get that place in the England squad. You look at the 4 keepers that have been named. I would love to know if Jack Butland is number 5 or number 6 or number 7 on Gareth Southgate's list, because he can't have missed out by much. I'm surprised that he's missed out. Disappointed for him, because as you say, he's spoken a few times about it over the course of the season. You can tell, one, how much he loves playing for Rangers. I think he gets it here. He's settled in. He likes the rapport with the fans. He likes the fact that he's going for titles and going for cups. Likes the fact that it brings him European football. I think he would have, if he will looked at everything that he's done this season and expected to be in that conversation for England. For me, he should have been in that 4. It's not happened for him, so it really comes down to him now. Does he think that he can force his way back into that England squad by still playing up here and by still playing European football and challenging for medals with Rangers, or does he think that if he wants to get back in that England squad, he will have to be a Premier League goalkeeper? Really depends on where he sees the next couple of things of his, or the next couple of seasons of his career being. Is England that big a driver for him, or is medals and playing in front of big crowds and all the positives that come with life at Rangers, are they more important to him than an England recall? Or is the England recall the driver for him? Is that the motivation when he gets out of bed every morning? If it is, it's looking likely that he will have to leave Rangers, because there still seems that snobbery between English pundits and England manager and the Scottish game. So Jack Butland won't sign for, if he does leave Rangers in the summer, he will leave for a bigger league. He will leave for a bigger wage packet. He won't leave for a bigger football club.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. Just incidentally, the manager was quizzed, of course, on Butland in the summer rebuild last week. He says that he emphasised that the goalkeeper should not be sold for any price. And Butland speaking about his season at Rangers, he says, I've loved it. It's been eventful. It's had its ups and downs. There's been some incredible moments. Ultimately, we've fallen short of our main goal, which was to win the league. So there's been some moments over the last down moments over the last couple of weeks, when you've put so much effort into that ambition, and then for it to be gone, it hits you like a ton of bricks, I suppose. But I've loved the last 12 months. I've loved the challenge. I've loved the experience. I've loved my work, and I've loved trying to help the boys. I've loved doing what I'm doing, and I've really enjoyed playing in front of our fans everywhere we go and at Ibrox. It's been enjoyable. I know it's had its disappointments. We haven't achieved what we wanted to achieve, but I've really enjoyed myself. So if we take him for his word, certainly every time we hear from him, he does speak about his enjoyment at playing for Rangers. The thing is, Rangers need cash if they want to fund a summer rebuild, and Jack Butland is the most valuable asset. So it may be a decision perhaps taken out of his hands. At the end of the day, Chris, if a mega money bid comes in for Jack Butland, the Rangers board need to look at it, simple as.
No, they do, and it would be, I think, anybody that says otherwise has, one, got their head in the sand, and two, not really been paying attention for a number of seasons. I think no one thought when Jack came in last summer, it wasn't really immediately thought of as this is part of the player trading model. It was, we've just signed a good goalkeeper for free. I don't think people were thinking in 12 months' time he could be worth £15 million to us, but I think that was something that the club perhaps had in mind. You look at the profile, you look at the way that the English market is going. He will be attractive to Premier League clubs because he ticks so many boxes for them. So I would be surprised. I said I'd be hugely surprised if there's not going to be further interest. Forrest had a nibble at it in January. Fair play to Jack. He said no, he wanted to see out the season. There's obviously so much still at stake for Rangers over the second half of the campaign. It's not going to plan. We all know that. But if he can end the season with 2 medals and all the plaudits that have come with his first season here, hopefully that's enough to convince him that it's worthwhile staying. But as you say, the decision can easily be taken out of his hands. The Rangers, if it gets to round about the £15 million mark, Rangers just can't turn that down for any player, no matter how impressive Jack Butland has been, no matter how much he loves it here, no matter how much the fans love him. £15 million goes a long way for a Rangers squad that needs a big rebuild. It perhaps have been different if Rangers only needed 2 or 3 players. They had to go and maybe spend £5 million here or £5 million there, and maybe get a couple of loan players in. That would have maybe have made it different, and they could maybe have fended off some of that interest. But the fee that they can get in for Butland can go such a long way for Clement and Niels Coppin to go and try and remodel this squad. We know there's going to be a lot. We spoke about it with Steve again yesterday. He's got his piece on the site this morning, outlining just how radical he believes the overhaul has to be. Unfortunately, Butland could be a key part in that, but not for the right reasons.
Yeah, do go and check that piece out, folks. The link is in the description below. It's a good read from Stevie this week. Just some comments coming in on the goalkeeper situation. Ian Edwards says Butland leaves, McCrory becomes number 1 and Kelly's number 2. As much as I think some would like that, Ian, I don't think that will be the case. Rangers will be going out to get a replacement if Jack Butland is to depart. One such player who has been linked is, as Uncle Dave says, Bodar from Standard Liège, the Belgian goalkeeper that has been linked with a move to Rangers. But certainly a position to keep an eye on over the course of the summer. Other players have been linked. We touched on it yesterday, and our headkeeper raises the point that a bit of a development on this yesterday. He says, watched Eric's video with the Cypriot fan. Didn't fill me with much confidence on the FD. Don't need another development player in a difficult position for us. You may have seen reports yesterday claiming that a deal is close between the Rangers and the FD. He spent the season on loan at Apoel in Cyprus. Fluminense, his team in Brazil, quite happy for him to move on, and by all accounts it looks like he's heading to Glasgow. Apoel were keen on signing him permanently, but he prefers a move to Ibrox. Seems that Rangers, it's another area of the pitch. We just touched on the goalkeeper there, Chris. Left back is obviously an area where they'll need to strengthen. Borna's leaving. Ridvan, I think maybe touch and go whether he departs as well. We expect teams to try and tempt him away, as is often the case during transfer windows. Hefty, it was expected that he would arrive in the previous transfer window. Now it looks like he will come this summer. I haven't seen much of him. I know that when I spoke to Stell yesterday, he says he was dropped for the last 4 matches because the Apoel boss wanted some experience in the back line, which doesn't certainly bode well if he's coming to Rangers. But it certainly looks like he is on his way.
Again, not someone that I've seen a huge amount of. There was also a lot of talk about him during the January transfer window that didn't also materialise. I think we said during January, and we've said almost every week since, left back needs a massive upgrade. Borna's time has come and gone. He will move on. For me, he goes with best wishes, but it's time for all parties to go in a different direction there. Ridvan, he was very impressive during that spell after Clement came in, but I think the last couple of weeks have shown you the downsides of him. Just not robust enough. Just can't play the number of games required. I think when we first clapped eyes on him when he first joined the club, we all thought this guy is quite small. Doesn't look overly physical, and it did take him a lot of time to just get in the right shape to be able to handle Scottish football. Maybe even still catching up in that regard. I just don't think he's going to be the answer at left back. Again, a lot of talk about him during the January window. The phrase "reports in Turkey" was a regular occurrence almost every single day during the window. I think that will be the case once again. And if Rangers could get their money back, maybe even make a small profit on him, again, I think those wages and that fee could be utilised better. I think that you would back the manager, back Neil Scotland to go and try and find an upgrade. It's just not really worked out for Ridvan. There have been some positive moments in there. There have been short spells where he's looked apart, and people who doubted him were thinking maybe have to kind of rein it in a wee bit, maybe have to eat humble pie. But I think overall, those who have had nagging doubts over him, I think they're going to be proven right. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves on.
Robbie Fraser started at Tynecastle at the weekend, Chris. Is it unlikely to see him start on Saturday, or just Ridvan, of course, just coming back from injury? Does he start the game against Celtic?
I think Ridvan gets the nod unless something has gone awry during the last couple of days, or does over the next couple of days in terms of injuries. The manager said on Friday pre-match that Ridvan wasn't fit to get through the whole 90 minutes. So that's why Robbie started. I thought he did okay. For me, he didn't nail down a claim to say I'm going to go and start in a Scottish Cup final. It's a big leap up between a dead rubber against Hearts and playing against Celtic. So I thought he was fine, but certainly not at the level. So for me, Ridvan comes back in, he starts the game, and Barisic fitness, obviously depending, is your left back option on the bench. But I think Ridvan has to come back in, and even if he can't get through 90, if he's somehow still not ready for 90 minutes, he has to start. You need to give him the start of the game, because Rangers can't afford to be starting Old Firm games on the back foot once again, which I'm assuming is a topic we will come on to later on in the week as the build-up continues to this one.
Yep, lots of comments coming in. First of all, a big hello to Ramon. We're live on Instagram, as you all know. And he says, allow us to have Lammers, please. Greetings from Utrecht. So, £10 million, buddy, and he is yours. But, he's tearing it up over there. We spoke about him at length yesterday. I think Ali McCoist is, said that it should return to Rangers, and for Philip Clement to have a second look at him. But, I would be fully expecting Sam Lammers to be departing this summer, and if he continues in that scoring vein, even if he doesn't score, I think there's a sort of 1 or 2 games left in the Eredivisie, or is it the season done? I'm not entirely sure. I think there's 1 game left, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's tomorrow night. I'm fully expecting that Utrecht and maybe 1 or 2 others will be looking to take him away from Glasgow. But he's certainly tearing up over there. Just on the issue of left back in Ridvan, Aldo says Yilmaz to blame for Hearts' second and third goals at Tynecastle. Unacceptable ball watching is what he says. And about players, Alistair Moore says a young player who should be getting an opportunity, says Cole McKinnon, great player, great attitude too. Boy deserves more minutes. Good player in there. Totally agree, Alistair. I've been impressed every time I've seen Cole in action. And here's a name for us to discuss. I've seen he's been linked with a move to the English Championship, Chris. He's someone that scored against Rangers at Ibrox in what was a damaging defeat recently. And talking about strikers, another area that Rangers need to strengthen in. Alan with a point here. Theo Bair got 14 goals and 5 assists in his last 19 SPL games this season. A more realistic target than Miovski. Theo Bair, are you a fan?
I was surprised at how this season unfolded for him, put it that way, because 2 seasons ago up at St Johnstone, he was fairly hopeless. He didn't look like a guy that had a lot of goals in him at all. Obviously playing in a St Johnstone side that were struggling and not creating loads of chances every game, but he just didn't look a realistic guy that was going to go on and have the kind of season that he has. Motherwell have done well with strikers over the last couple of seasons. Also, Big Van Veen did well for them a couple of years ago. Interesting that there's a bit of chat about Baird going down south. I would imagine that's where he heads. Again, I think as Stevie touched on yesterday, and we're discussing, signing Rangers strikers is very difficult, because if you spend money on one, they all want to play. If you're only going to play one guy through the middle, you've already got Danilo. I imagine Dessers will potentially move on. So if you've spent £6 million on Danilo and he's back and he's fit, he has to play, or doesn't have to play, but he's going to say, well, I should be playing. So if you then go and spend another couple of £1 million on another striker, because we need another striker, he wants to play. And if you're then Theo Bair and you come in and you're the third choice, if you like, how much game time are you going to get? And is it then worth your while being at Rangers when you could be in the Championship, make decent money and play almost every week as long as you perform? So I would think that's a more realistic move for him. Interesting that Alan mentions Miovski. Again, he's a player I would love to see at Ibrox, but I think he will move on for more than Rangers are willing to pay. I think the challenge for Rangers is to go and find the next Miovski, to go and find the next Alfredo Morelos. Now that's the kind of market. That's the buy low, develop, win, and sell on, as should have happened with Alfredo. That's the kind of market the Rangers need to be looking at, certainly for someone who's not going to be the first choice striker. So if you have Danilo, if you can bring someone else in who's of a different profile, younger, bit of improvement in them, you've not put a lot of finance into it, there's then huge scope for improvement and hopefully success. So if we can go and find the next Miovski or next Morelos, I'd be delighted at that.
Yeah, and let's address this point here, because you might have seen reports this morning on another player looks destined for Ibrox. Lee Wright with the point. Cordoba update, please, and thank you. No problem at all, Lee. A report in Bulgaria this morning suggesting that Norwich City are keen on him. They're actually offering him more money than Rangers, and he prefers to go to the English Championship, but he's already agreed terms with Rangers. This is according to a report from the Bulgarian publication by the name of Gong. What do you make of this, Chris? It looks like he is on his way to Rangers. Norwich have just sacked David Wagner, so this is obviously the head of football, director of football, that's looking to make transfers. Doesn't read well that players are looking to move to other clubs before they even sign for the club they're going to.
It's not I actually saw that tweet earlier on, but not heard anything on it from either side of that particular deal. So I'll urge people not to get too worked up on it just now. Rangers were certainly very, very keen to get it done. Which we reported, was it a week before last, I think, that he was obviously at the game at Ibrox, and he was over for a look, and he was at that stage. He was keen on the move. Not heard anything since to suggest otherwise. So fingers crossed that it all gets done and dusted. Because again, as we said just in the morning, Rangers do need centre half reinforcements. I don't think if Cordoba is one, I don't think he will be the last. So it's going to be a long window. There's going to be a lot of social media stuff going around. There's going to be a lot of websites, a lot of journalists, and a lot of agents, and a lot of different things at play. If Rangers fans are losing the cool over things and getting worked up about it, and we're only on the 22nd of May, they're not going to see the end of the window. So it's keep calm and carry on would be my message at this stage of the window.
Yeah, absolutely. And there'll be plenty of names between now and the closure of the window. I think you said yesterday 100 names are going to be linked with Rangers. I think we're nearing that already, and we've not even entered the window. It's not even opened yet. But there you go, folks. That'll do us for now, incidentally. Thank you to each and every one of you for interacting with the show as ever. Big thanks to Chris as well. Just a reminder, Stevie's piece is on the website this morning, and the link is in the description below, so do go and check it out. I carried out 2 videos yesterday on transfer rumours. The first, the Yefty, you can find that on the YouTube channel. Also spoke to a Romanian football journalist who covers Rapid Bucharest in great detail. He gave us an update on a player that's been linked with Rangers, Albion Rahmani, the Kosovan centred forward, number 9, spoke very well. He did say he suffered a really bad injury earlier on in the season, and he rhymed off some of the clubs that are interested in him. And likes of Napoli, Benfica, I think Sparta Prague failed in a bid for him. Aston Villa are keeping tabs on him as well. So this boy is in demand, it's fair to say. So, but do go and check it out, folks. There'll be plenty more videos like that over the course of the next weeks and months. Incidentally, tomorrow I'm speaking to a Bulgarian journalist on Jose Cordoba, so we should get a bit more insight into how he has performed at Levski Sofia. Right, that'll do us there. We'll speak to you again tomorrow. Bye for now.